This episode is brought to you by Simon Sinek and his inspirational quote, "We don't build trust by offering help. We build trust by asking for it because it's a vulnerable thing to ask for help."
Welcome to the Stephan Dyer Podcast, my people.
Hello, my people! ¿Cómo están, damas y caballeros? Welcome to the Stephan Dyer Podcast, where I welcome people with remarkable stories for amazingly vulnerable conversations. I am Stephan Dyer, former banker turned comedian and lifestyle entrepreneur, and this episode with myself, I think, is remarkable. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a special episode, an in-between episode, where my good friend Isabella Anés, who was also on this podcast previously, is actually interviewing me for her podcast, the ISA Journal. Go listen to it on Spotify, everywhere. ISA, like Isa, like Isabella Anés, the ISA Journal. She's interviewing me about my life. So I just wanted to give you a short intro. She's going to ask me all kinds of questions. I'm sharing things that I've never shared. And it means a lot that you would listen. I really want to encourage you to go to the Isabella episode, because it's just wonderful. Episode 49. Isabella Anés, a lifetime of basketball dreams and defying the odds. Man, since that podcast, which went out in January, Isabella broke her knee again. I'm not going to tell you much about the episode because I want you to go. And she's overcome that again. She's a warrior. She is somebody to admire. She's somebody to look up to. So it's an absolute honor that she would be interested in interviewing me. And I want to thank her publicly for allowing the content that was supposed to that is going to her podcast to also go on my podcast to share with my audience as well. If you like this episode, obviously, please follow the ISA Journal and share it. Tag Isabella on Instagram, Isabella_Anés, and tag me on Instagram. Share it, screenshot the episode, anything and everything. Always helps my friends. So, let's get this started. In 3, 2, 1.
In the short time that I have known him, he has pushed me outside of my comfort zone. He has broadened my perspective in life and in work at what it means to build a fulfilling career. And he has inspired me to dream big. I know it's kind of uncomfortable now that I'm saying all of this. I want to see your face with all of this. But yeah, he has shown me not to be afraid to follow what my heart is telling me, right? So I am not trying to be cringy again, but this is just the truth. And actually, I don't know if you know this, Stephan, but it is because of you that I said, you know what? It's time for me to start this podcast. I had felt the calling, but after the interview that we had, I said, it is time for me to just get out of that comfort zone and try it out. So yes, without further ado, I am joined by Stephan Dyer. So Stephan, welcome to the ISA Journal.
Thank you. This is the first episode. I'm a guest in my studio. We're recording your podcast. It's an honor. It was an honor to have you, and I'm excited to be interviewed by someone who I truly respect as well. It means a lot that I've had a positive impact. I told you I don't believe in God, but if there is a God, your mom being at that networking meeting that we had, and she obviously talking about you as proud as she is always about you, and I'm like, okay, like a lot of moms are proud about their daughters, etc. She plays basketball. Okay, cool. A lot of people.
Here we go again.
And then like she showed me a video of yours, and when you said like LeBron, something along the lines of like more than a basketball player, more than an athlete, I'm like, how old is this girl? How old is she? Like 19, 20. I'm like, what?
Yep.
She's decades ahead of the game, and I'm like, I need to meet this girl. Obviously, I saw your video on your Instagram of the decision and all these things, and I was like, yeah, she's going places and she's got it down. Like, people 60 years old don't get this. So we have a million things in common apart from leaving our homes at age 15 to pursue better things in North America. The ACL tears, with the sports, the sacrifice that we've had to do to come this way, the determination, the growth mindset. So very, very honored to be on your show.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And honestly, you have built like a lot, reinforcing those little things. You have made me realize of things that I hadn't realized at the moment, which is great. And I go back every time I think about things like that. I go back to the importance of community, of surrounding yourself with people that think alike and that build you up. So truly appreciate that, Stephan, honestly. So just to start things off, how have you been? Deeply loved by Venezuelans right now, huh?
Yeah, one of my videos went viral. One of my comedy videos went viral about Venezuelans. I've been thinking a lot about that. I mean,
Porque somos arrechos.
Porque somos más arrechos, exactamente. I've been thinking I've been doing well. I've been just the past 3 years have been a roller coaster because I became a dad. I got married. I became a dad.
Woo!
We got this place. Then, just when we thought we were taking off with the business, the pandemic hit. But I always like to joke around that, like, me and Juan, my business partner, we quit the bank 5 years ago. Then we joke around that we kind of picked to go into a pandemic before the pandemic, because our incomes went down like 90%, and we just were going against the current in many ways. So when the pandemic hit, it was really cool to see that where people's self-worth, a lot of people's self-worth were derived from their jobs. And like because it happened to me, my identity was being a banker at times. My identity was being a soccer player in high school at times.
Yeah.
And a lot of people's identity is being a lawyer or being in marketing So once that got taken away, who are you in your home when you're just not going to work or you're working from home? And you got to take a deep look in the mirror and be like, fuck, I left all these other areas of my life. I forgot about them throughout these years, and now I have to look at myself in the mirror and be like, wow, man, my life was my job.
Yeah.
My spirituality isn't here. I'm overweight. I don't like how I feel. My mental health is not good. I don't talk to my family. I never see my family. I never see my friends. So it was a really good opportunity to reset and for the people who were able to,
Yeah.
And those who didn't have, I think everybody grew from it anyways.
Absolutely.
So coming out of it, I like to say that because I've moved around a lot and I went to boarding school when I was 15 in many ways, like you, to
we'll
study.
Tap into that in a moment.
So I like to think that I'm preventing the crisis before they happen. So I was like, since day one of the pandemic, I was getting ready for when the pandemic was over, even if it was 5 years of it.
Yeah.
And now we're just kind of reaping the rewards of that and starting to travel again, starting to doing shows again. We have a more established like corporate and training and development business that we do through humor. So life's good. Now, for the past 4 months, I've been to Texas for work, LA to the Netflix is a Joke comedy show for fun with my brother. Then we went to Tampa to see my dad with my wife and son, and we just came back from Vancouver for fun, and I did a show there too.
Oh my! It sounds like a lot what I want to do in the future. Just travel and get to experience different things. So good for you, man. Honestly, that's amazing. So yeah, I guess like you share a little bit of your story, but I want to tap into it kind of in order because, as you said, there's a lot that we can relate on, and there's a lot that I still don't know. So I want to take that.
Let's get into it.
Opportunity to do that. So. So let's start, like, you were born and raised in Costa Rica. So let's just go from Costa Rica to here to Canada. So how did that happen? Born from Peruvian parents. So yeah, just take me through that journey, like childhood, early life.
Yeah, so both my parents are Peruvian. My brothers are Peruvian. And in like 1983 or something, or 81, they moved to Costa Rica.
Okay.
And for work reasons, Peru wasn't a good. Lima was having a lot of terrorism back in the 80s as well. And a lot of Peruvians, similar to Venezuelans these days, were moving out in the thousands, in the hundreds of thousands, maybe in the 80s, because there was terrorism, bombs going off in Lima. And a lot of Peruvians ended up in Costa Rica. My brothers were 5 and 7 when they moved. So 83. In 87, I was born, and I always identified as Costa Rican, but it was always like not quite Costa Rican because my home was Peruvian, you know?
So food, everything
exactly, everything was Peruvian. In fact, all our family friends, I grew up with sons of Peruvians. Like my friends were sons and daughters, the kids of my Peruvian's my parents' friends who were Peruvians. Yeah. So I kind of grew up in that environment, not doing a lot of Costa Rican things, but more like Peruvians and Costa Rican things. And then, so when I was 6, my parents divorced, and my dad moved to El Salvador, where he remarried, and he had my sisters, who are now, like, when you have little sisters, you forget how old they are. But they were born in 95 and 2001.
That's 27. And
yeah, 27,
21.
My sister's gonna turn 27 June 30.
Yeah.
And my other sister's gonna turn 21 on November 19.
Oh, good.
So that was when my life changed significantly, because now my dad moved. And we were 3 boys with my mom in Costa Rica, and I started traveling a lot to El Salvador.
Okay.
Like, I think it was like every month, every couple months. It was like $150 a ticket, 1 hour. And my dad would bring me like there. And my stepmom has like 5 brothers. And they all have 2 or 3 kids my age. Oh. So it was like Costa Rica at that time for me and my family. It wasn't really, as I like to call it, like a healthy environment. My brothers were partying a lot.
Yeah.
My mom wasn't in the best place, and then my dad in El Salvador was with my stepmom, who had a big family.
Yeah.
And all the brothers had kids my age. So for the first time, I felt like I had a family. Yeah. Because in Costa Rica, it was just us. Yeah. All my family's in Peru, like my immediate, Dyer and the Garcia Pachecos. So in El Salvador, it was like, wow, this is what it feels like to have a family. So I would go every month, every 2 months, every 3 months, and they had a house on the beach, like 40 minutes away from San Salvador, the capital. It's called La Costa del Sol. So there we used to go, and my stepmom's dad, so my grandfather, he was an alcoholic, so he didn't drink alcohol. Okay. And nobody in the house, in the extended family, drank alcohol because they didn't want to have alcohol and in front of him, and my brother didn't drink alcohol either. But he was a professional soccer player when he was young. He played for the Salvadorian national team, and the brothers, so my stepmom's sisters, were all incredible athletes, soccer players, basketball players, marathon runners to this day. So everything was a competition on the house on the beach. Everything. We played basketball, soccer, running, dominoes, volleyball, Connect Four, poker, everything you can imagine. Chess. So I had a big family there. I felt like I was a kid, and I have a competitive nature as well. And my life has been sports. I love sports as well. So it was like the perfect thing for me. And I went back and forth for 4 years going to visit my dad. And then when I was like 9, 10, I decided, which was the hardest decision of my life, that I wanted to move with my dad. So I told my mom that I wanted to move with my dad to El Salvador.
Oh, wow. Oh, I want to pause there because it's just intriguing to see how right now I bet you're able to gain more perspective of, oh, that was a very healthy environment. And I am who I am today because of those things, because of the competition that I was surrounded with. Yeah. That's what drove my competition today, my drive today. Like
ambition.
Your ambition and all of that. So were you aware of that at that point, or you just felt like I felt more comfortable and I just wanted to move?
No, it just felt right. Also, my brothers were doing their own thing. They had 9 and 11 years older than me. So when I was 6, they were already 18, or when I was 8, they were already moved out.
Yeah.
And it was like me and my mom. Yeah. It felt very lonely. My mom was going through. She's an incredible mom. She's an incredible person. She's a relationships coach. She's been like my psychologist for the longest time. She's really funny. She's got like the greatest emotional intelligence. But at the time, it just didn't feel like it was a place for me. Yeah. But it's been the toughest moment of my life to tell my mom that I want to move out. And my dad, compared to my mom, especially in a Latino environment where women back in the 50s and 60s were not encouraged to study. So my mom is an artist. Yeah. She's a painter, but she didn't, she studied, but it's not like in Costa Rica she had a successful career, but it's not like women back in those days had careers like now they do. Yeah. So my dad had a better financial situation than my mom. And the Melados, the family, are very educated. They all have masters and PhDs. They're very ambitious. They're very healthy. All sports and everything. Yeah. And I just felt at that time that it was the right decision for me, for my future, for my education, for my mental health. And I decided to take that step. And I think that from that moment, which is what I told you, that even from age 6 and age 10, especially when I moved, I became a grown-up. Yeah. I was decades, years ahead of everybody my age. Yeah. It's sometimes sad that kids have to grow up that quick. Yeah. But sometimes when you're striving for greatness, or sometimes when you're just trying to survive emotional trauma, like moving countries, leaving your brothers and your mother in another country, and you got to make that executive decision at age 9 or 10, it's a big deal. It's huge. And that is what's allowed me to just excel in everything that I've done for the rest of my life. So age 10, I moved to El Salvador. My dad was starting to get really successful in the fertilizer industry. So he worked for a Swiss fertilizer company, and they decided that it was better for the family to move to Mexico for the business, for where he worked at. Because that was like the hub for Latin America. He was the vice president for Latin America for that company. So we moved to Mexico at age 14. And then...
So that's second moving already.
That's second moving. Yeah. And I went to an American school where basically there was a lot of expats and a lot of people who were moving around and everything. Just like me. So it was my second country, or my third country. And other kids were having the same experience in that school. And I was always really good in school. I was always very responsible, like a high sense of responsibility. I still have nightmares today of not handing in a homework. I'll dream about, oh my God, I didn't do the homework this morning. What are they going to say? I didn't study for this exam. What's going to happen? And that's high sense of integrity and accountability. It's what's made me, and my consistency and discipline. It's what what's made me who I am, which is one of my biggest assets and strengths.
Yeah.
14 to Mexico, and when I was in Mexico, there was a school counselor who was Canadian, Quebecois. And the guy was a soccer ref in Quebec on the side when he lived in Quebec. And he ended up moving to Mexico and was the school counselor at my school. There was one thing in Mexico, I don't know why, but in like 8th grade or 9th grade or 10th grade, there was like it was like trendy or like estaba como de moda that you would send your kid to a year abroad.
Okay.
So some of these kids, they went to Switzerland, to France, to the States, to Canada, just to perfect their English or to learn French. And my stepmom had lived in Europe for many years.
Okay.
She's in Paris and in Sweden and in Greece. So she speaks French. And she was like, let's send Stephan, my dad and my stepmom, let's send Stephan to a boarding school in Quebec that this guy recommended.
Okay.
So he had refed at my school, which is 2 hours away from Montreal.
Yeah.
And he was like, this is the most beautiful campus, great school, small, 250 students, 7th grade to 12th grade, boarding, really good education. So
put a good picture for you.
Yeah. And I've always been a really good student, like top of my class. And I was a really good soccer player. So we applied for a scholarship because it was too expensive.
Yeah. And
at the time, I got a 25% scholarship.
Okay.
Which it was viewed as a big it was like it was like a failure that I didn't get a full scholarship. But then we found out that this was the biggest scholarship that they gave for international students. They don't give full scholarships. Okay. I did well in the exams, the math, the English, and the other one. So I don't remember. And I was doing really well in soccer. I was playing for Club America in like the little leagues, and I was about to get sent to the Fuerzas Básicas to Coapa, which is like where the people who are likely to go to first division train. Okay. So that happened. They gave me the scholarship, and my dad and my stepmom did like a big financial effort to be able to send me to Quebec in 10th grade. And I got the award for best new student at BCS, the school. I got the MVP for rugby. I got my best friend Charlie, who was my roommate, who's still one of my best friends, got MVP that year because I was in senior soccer, but my age was junior. Yeah. So I played senior, and I did really well. So I was like the first year, and I got a bunch of other awards, and I was like, well, it was only a year. Thank you, everybody. This was incredible. But then the school was like, you can't go now. You can't leave. And they did a significant effort. They gave me financial assistance, like a lot of help to be able to pay, not like the lump sum, but like for my dad to be able to pay in separate installments. And then they gave me further financial assistance for the third year. So I ended up graduating from Bishop's College School in Quebec. And it's still like one of the best experiences I've had in my life. Then I came to U of T for commerce and finance in 2006.
Oh, dang. How did that transition happen? Like, how did you end up U of T? You just applied to universities, or how did that happen?
I always tell this story, but my dad is always is very competitive too, and like a winning mindset. Yeah. He always instilled in me like two things that everybody sees in me these days, where he told me, like, don't worry about the results, just give your effort, which is pretty much growth mindset in a different way. Yeah. In different words. Yeah. And I had like a lot of trouble grasping that, but I ended up like living it, and I still do these days because I was so frustrated. Like, man, it frustrated me so much that I could I could train all year and I would never be Ronaldinho, you know? Yeah. Which is like a fixed mindset type of thinking. And he also helped me believe growing up, since I moved to El Salvador and everything, even before, that I can accomplish outstanding things, extraordinary things. since a young age, he was like, you could go to Harvard, you could go to Stanford, Yale, all these, Berkeley, all these incredible universities. So it was so distant for me, you know, but that was the goal. That was the goal. And people from my university, from my high school, had gone to a lot of Ivy League universities.
Yeah.
But I ended up getting like, I don't know, like 86, 88 grades, 90s. But when I did the SAT, I just studied by myself every once in a while and everything. And
that
I remember
test is hell. I hate it.
I remember I got like an 83 percentile in math, but like a 51 in English or comprehension or whatever. And I was doing everything, this whole thing by myself, you know, and trying to juggle the soccer, the extracurriculars, the school. And I remember my dad flew in my 12th grade.
Yeah.
In September of 2005.
Yeah.
And we spoke to this lady called Ilo Makar, which was the university advisor. And I remember she broke the news. She's like, doesn't have the grades or the SAT. And I was devastated, you know, devastated because I felt like I had let my dad down. I felt like I wasn't enough. I felt like this whole time I had worked for this. And then again, when you look backwards, you're like, you were deriving your self-worth from achieving.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that you're a better or bad person, a better or worse person if you don't make it to Harvard, but it's who you become in the process. So I ended up applying to Canadian schools and some in England, and I got in, and U of T was a good school and everything. So I said U of T, okay. But at the time, getting into U of T it felt to me like the biggest failure in my life. Ironically, then I found out it's like a top 20 school in the world.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But it's all perspective.
It's all perspective. That's exactly what I was going to say. It all comes to perspective. And well, just listening how you build up like in this competitive environment, it's like, I have to be the best of the best. And we have spoken about this. I was also driven. I got to play Division 1 because that's the elite of the elite. Yeah. But I hadn't realized, as you said, it's not what you accomplish. You can graduate from Yale and be an asshole.
Yeah.
It's rather who you become in that process and how much you make out of the opportunities that you have, because opportunities are there. That's the other thing. Are you able to see them?
Yeah.
Are you able to see those? Because at the end of the day, you were getting a good education going to U of T. You were staying here in Canada. I don't know if you had realized at the moment, like you were also setting yourself up as to, for us as immigrants, it's important to think about what we're going to do after to get our papers.
Huge.
And all of that. So all of that was encompassed in that opportunity. It's just perspective. You're not able to focus on it or see it because you are focused on the title, not on the actual opportunity. Okay, what is this actually giving me? Which is
exactly
is huge. Okay, so we get to U of T, and how's your experience there? The 4 years there. How would you say that shaped you into who you are today? Not only academically.
If I had to do it again, I wouldn't do it.
You wouldn't?
No.
Why?
Because it was too big a school. It was too corporate, I would say, in a way that it was a big shock to me going from a small school that cared who I was and knew who I was. 20 people in the class, 15, really good relationship with the teachers. Just like your school in Kansas, you know, it's like a family. It's like you are someone. You belong. You belong. Yeah. And I lived in a house with 15 friends, because there's residences where it's a boarding school. And the school is like, everybody says it's like Harry Potter. So you dine in the dining hall. You go to Crease after, which everybody has to do sports after school, mandatory, which I loved. And so basically U of T, especially in first and second year, they have 3 campuses: Mississauga, Scarborough, and downtown. And it's like 55,000 people, including PhDs. So the first year, you got 400 people, 600 people in some classes. Yeah. And if you go to class, okay. If you don't go to class, okay. Nobody cares. Multiple choice exams. You got 2 exams. Midterm and final. That's it.
And that was where your grade came from?
That's it.
Oh, dang.
And me being a consistent person that thrives on long term, it was really hard, especially because I didn't know how to study for U of T. Mm-hmm. Then it was hard those first, those first 2 years, like having no Oh, and also I had hernias in my 12th grade of rugby. Mm-hmm. I got 3 hernias that I got surgery for August, right before first year, September. Mm-hmm. So when I went to my first year, first of all, I couldn't attend Frosh Week and Orientation Week because I had the hernias and I had to have that surgery.
Dang, which takes you out of
takes you out of everything. Yeah. And it takes you out of meeting new people.
Exactly.
Missed all the soccer tryouts. First of all, I couldn't even play soccer for 6 months for sports, which was my identity. That's how I got friends. That's how I had fun. That's how I maintained fit. That's how I got girls. That everything.
Yeah.
And then you take that away. I'm like, who the fuck am I now?
Yeah.
So then I had to like tap into a different part of me.
Yeah.
And I thought it was going to be a lot of partying, but U of T is a hard school, so no time for partying. Plus, none of these people were partying anyways, so it was all school. And I'm like, the thing I remember thinking this whole time was, these people have no idea how cool I am.
Yeah. These people are missing out on me.
Yeah, man, like I have so much to give.
Yeah.
And this is like a fish out of water the whole time. But I had actually felt like a fish out of water most of my life anyways.
Yeah.
Because in Costa Rica, I wasn't really Costa Rican. In El Salvador, I wasn't Salvadorian. In Mexico, I wasn't Mexican. So I kind of feel at home when I am a fish out of water, but I couldn't really grasp on really good friendships till I joined a fraternity in first year. That really helped me out because I moved into the house and that was like a more tight community.
Yeah.
And then third and fourth year, I really started to thrive in school because I learned how to study for U of T. Basically just do your past exams like 1,000,000 times.
Yeah.
Instead of studying the slides or the class or whatever, just do past exams. I started doing a lot better in school. And then in third year, second, third year, I tear my ACL.
Oh,
so just when I finally had my best soccer year, and I got recruited to try out for the varsity and everything, then the ACL, and again
that crisis
of who am I?
Yeah.
You know.
And how would you say you came through that? Do you have a breakthrough moment where you realize, this doesn't define me anymore? What was it for you?
Well, the thing that I remember the most was I had to shift my eating because I would eat anything, because I would just be like in shape all the time.
Yeah. I
had to be more conscious about that. Then the other things that I remember was I learned about myself is that I used to get really pissed off when my friends would invite me to soccer because the thing I love most I couldn't do anymore.
Yeah.
And I just had to take my competitive edge because I spent 5 years without playing. Because when I did my surgery, 6 months later, a year later, I kind of relapsed. It tore again. And then in 2013, I tore it in 2009. In 13, I got the reconstructive, and as you know, you gotta remove the ligament.
Yeah.
And then 4 months later, you gotta come back and put a new one.
Put a new one, yeah.
So, I have a cadaver one. So, I spent 5 years, and I'm like, it just felt like something was missing, and I took my competitive edge into poker. Oh. And I just went, super hard on reading books and competing, and I went to Vegas with a friend, and I played poker a couple times, and I had a league with a bunch of my friends. So the big realization was it's possible to be happy without playing soccer.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I realized is that I'm just so grateful about now when I play soccer. It's going to be 10 years or 8 years since I've been playing with no injuries. and I could lose 23-0. But at the end of the game, I'm like, I didn't get injured.
Yeah,
I got to play.
That's what matters.
Just like a deep sense of gratitude
Yes.
about being healthy. Even at that age, 20, 21, I was like, my ultimate goal is to be able to play soccer and go skiing with my son. I don't care. Like, I'm not going to, I'm past my prime at 25 or whatever.
Yeah.
Probably not going to make it to Barcelona anymore. but I just want the joy of being able to play with friends.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. I think like it just becomes it shifts. Sports shift to like soccer in your case to just playing to win.
Yeah,
and you just play to enjoy it, to have fun. You're able to appreciate it more, and that's beautiful. The way you describe it is amazing. Yeah. Like what you were mentioning, Andre Iguodala played 4 minutes, yet he had such an impact. Other ways. It's being able to recognize those other ways that takes.
And you got to recognize it, otherwise you won't survive because you're just gonna be pissed off the entire season.
Absolutely.
And it's inefficient to be unhappy.
Yeah.
So pissed off people aren't gonna do their best.
Yeah.
You can fuel yourself from being pissed off. That's okay. But when you're pissed off, you're not going to contribute to the team.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Unless you're on the floor and then you want to take all the shots and then you...
Yeah.
So...
And that's part of realizing that a team, it's a group of people. It's not just you.
Yeah.
And that everybody has a role. Like, I just think of a team as a body. Like, I have my hands, my fingers, I have my toes, my knees, everything. Everything has a different role.
Yeah.
And it's in different locations and it has different sizes. But it all contributes to my body, right? So I wouldn't be my body without my index finger. Or even just my nail. As little as it is. Like, details matter. And I think we often overlook that, right? If we're not the head, if we're not eyes or the things that are mostly noticed, then we don't have value, and that's not really the truth, right? So that's a huge realization. So, okay, now I want to walk through, okay, you just finish your bachelor's, graduated from U of T. How do you feel when you graduated? And my next question attached to that is, what was next? Like, how do you know what to do?
I was tremendously proud. My diploma's right there. Because, as you know, U of T is a pretty good school. But more than that, I was proud because I graduated in 4 years. I think it was the only guy in my fraternity who graduated in 4 years.
4 years, yeah.
I was the only... I guess this is not. I'm not too proud, but I guess I was the first in my family to graduate from a university in North America. But more than that, with the support of my dad and my family, that I did it by myself. And what I mean by that is that a lot of Canadians don't get it, but there's an added pressure when you're an immigrant.
Yeah.
Of if you don't finish in 4 years, we don't have the money for another year.
Yeah.
We don't, because you're paying international student fees. We don't have the money for summer school.
Yeah.
We don't have the money for you fucking around and partying because you wanted to have a cool experience. And I did have a good experience, but I didn't even party 10% of what my friends did.
Yeah.
So, because I'm here on a mission. I mean, this is actually a privilege. It's not a right that I have. I have a big responsibility of me being here, and if I don't, this ship sails.
Yeah.
I can't get it again.
Yeah.
Just to even the smaller details, like food. When parents drop off food, my friends' parents would drop off food. Laundry, come home and do laundry, or I'll do your laundry.
Yeah.
Or I'll go home to have food. Or the where it became even more evident was in the networking. A lot of my friends in commerce had jobs lined up for every summer of university.
Yeah.
And in fourth year, a lot of them already had master's degree lined up, jobs, investment banking in all the banks and everything. And I was one of the only ones who didn't have a job.
Yeah.
So in my first 2 years, again, it felt like a failure when I didn't have in the summer a summer internship at a bank because I was studying finance.
Yeah.
So I ended up going to my BCS, my high school in Quebec and working at the summer camp.
Oh, okay.
Which was the 2 best summers of my life.
That's awesome.
Because I was dealing with people, and that's when you connect the dots backward, like Steve Jobs says. You can only connect the dots looking backwards.
Yeah.
And trust that they'll connect. Because then I'm like, why? Now I think of it, not then, but why was this so the best summer of my life? I was organizing sports activities. I was dealing with a lot of people. I love dealing with people.
Yeah.
I was like doing little performances for the kids. I was laughing all the time. I was hanging out with the teachers that had been my teachers. I felt like I belonged. I could run in the mornings. I could play soccer in the afternoons with all the students, the summer school students. So but it still felt like a failure because I wasn't able to get a summer internship.
Yeah.
And I was applying. Third year, thanks to an alumni of my high school, I got an internship at a bank here called TIBC. Fourth year, I didn't have a job when I graduated.
Yeah.
Which was a lot of stress for an international student because if you don't get a job, you can't stay.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get a work permit, so you could stay.
Yeah.
But you can't stay after those 3 years.
Those 3 years, yeah.
And back in the day, it used to be 1 year. But like the year I graduated, they extended it to 3 years.
Okay.
But you needed to have a year of work full time to be able to get the permanent residence.
Yeah.
And it can't just be anything. It needs to be like kind of related to your field of study.
Absolutely.
So it was very stressful. I had a girlfriend back in the day, she's from Mexico and from Tamaulipas, and I was just like, well, I'm just going to go to Tamaulipas. It was long distance, so I went to Tamaulipas.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll try to get a job here. I went to like a local Scotiabank there because I had a contact here at Scotiabank who had a friend there.
Yeah.
And I went to an interview, and the guy was like, bro, you don't want to work here, but he's like, save yourself while you can. Yeah. But in my books, it was like, man, if I work at Scotiabank in like Mexico, even if it's like a small town in the north, it's still international experience, you know?
Yeah.
And I could use it for Scotiabank Toronto later.
Yeah.
So, but the guy was like, it's just a waste of talent and knowledge, you working here in this branch in the middle of like Tampico. So weeks later, I get an email from Scotiabank because I had applied to 1 billion jobs. Thanks to my Spanish and my finance degree, I got an internship. 2010. They were paying us like minimum wage, like I think less than minimum wage, and like a 2-year contract. 6 of us.
Was it here?
Here in Toronto.
Okay.
So that was like a big success, like an internship, everything, and the 6 of them pretty much had plans after the 2 months, but they didn't know what to do with me because I didn't have a plan. So they kind of extended me like 5 times, like month by month. They would extend me until after 8 months of me doing, ironically, all the things that the Canadians didn't want to do, like organizing the summer events and the potlucks and volunteering and getting super involved, meeting everybody. I printed the organizational chart and was like highlighting every person on the floor that I met, and I would express that I wanted to stay, that I wanted to get a job. And after 8 months, they gave me a manager position. I didn't have anybody under like my role, but manager was still very impressive at age 23 at that time. So that's when my real career at Scotiabank started. And 3-4 years later, I became a senior manager in wealth management. And that led me to 3 years being there. Until 2017 when I did the jump.
Oh, and you did the jump, and that's what we're gonna dig into right away. But before like we dig into that, I just wanted to say, like, as you just mentioned, you connect the dots backwards. I think a lot of the traits that you just pointed out there, like you doing that extra thing that Canadians wouldn't do, comes from not only your upbringing, but like the environments that you were able to, and the experience that you were able to be part of. It's just like you can see there that you had the desire of staying. I'm gonna do what it takes, and even beyond. And I just think it just connects right now. Like looking back into it, I'm willing to do this because I've lived this. Even though at the moment you might not realize, you know, where I'm getting like a Canadian wouldn't necessarily appreciate or see that because okay, I mean they don't work as coaches, but they can find a job elsewhere. They're not against clock. They don't have all of these things. They don't have to compete for anything. So it shows a lot how our experiences, we might not understand it right now, but in the long run, everything connects, and it does. It does. If we make the most out of each experience that we get, it makes us a better person in the long run, right? So,
and add to that, the emotional baggage of missing out on your family's life back home. Like my nieces are still growing up, whether I'm there or not, you know?
Yeah.
And me being here or me not sharing time with my mom or with my dad or my brothers, it takes a toll on you because you were the one who left. I was the one who left. Obviously for better, and I'm proud of everything I've accomplished and I'm grateful for my journey. Otherwise I wouldn't have found my wife and Liam wouldn't exist, you know?
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to get at is it's something that I realized is that I spent probably a good 15 years from 2003 that I came until 2018 or whatever that I quit, 17, 18, where my mission was to get the Canadian passport so that I could go back and have a really cool plan that I could come back to Canada.
Yeah.
But those 15 years, me thinking about going back and thinking about Costa Rica means that your mind is there as a lot. So basically, any vacation, I would go to Costa Rica. Or I would go to Peru see my mom or Florida to see my dad. But Costa Rica is where my brothers are. I would go there to party. I would go to do shows. I would go and then this whole time I'm thinking about as soon as I get the passport, I'm going to go back. I open Facebook, it's all Costa Rica. I open Instagram, it's all Costa Rica.
Yeah.
15 years go by and I wasn't really present in Canada. You know, I didn't double down on Canada. So because I was there, I wasn't here.
Yeah.
And then I realized I know nothing about Canada. I don't know anything except Toronto and Montreal and Ottawa. I've never visited. So last year for my birthday, I decided I'm going to go to Halifax and get to know Canada. For my birthday and spend a vacation in Canada. Because it's a dangerous slippery slope for immigrants and newcomers.
Yeah.
Where you don't adapt because you're here, but you're not here.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that you have to close the door and never talk about Venezuela or Costa Rica again, but I'm saying that you have to do a conscious effort in being here.
And adapting
to the culture without losing your authenticity. Who you are.
Because that's part of, for me, that's part of Canadian culture. Canadian culture is, if you think about it, I mean, maple leaves and maple syrup and all that, and poutine, but it part of the culture is the diversity that they have.
Yeah.
Being able to, come here and feeling like you're a person, you're not just a number. Like, well, we're not going to get too much into racism or anything, but I just feel like in the States you're more prone to that, to be feeling outside the box. Whereas here, it's easier to, I would say, in culture-wise, to belong. But that's very important. The way you put it, I was here but not here. I hadn't thought about it like that. That's huge.
And a lot of us don't even realize it because this whole time you're in survival mechanism.
Yeah.
So all you're thinking is, I just gotta make it to the next year. I just gotta get my papers. I just gotta graduate. I just gotta do this. But finally, once I mean, it was this past year, really, in October, my birthday in Halifax, where I had one of my biggest crisis I've ever had emotionally, mentally. Where I started to go to therapy with a psychologist and everything, and one of the hypotheses was that my whole life I've been in survival mode. So 6 years old, my parents divorced, my dad moves.
Yeah.
Now I gotta survive this. 10 years old, I gotta survive moving to El Salvador. I gotta adapt. 14, Mexico. 15, Montreal, or Quebec. Then I gotta do good. I gotta do good in school. I gotta do good in soccer. University, I gotta graduate because otherwise I can't stay.
Yeah.
Work permit, I gotta get a job. I get the job. I gotta thrive in this one.
Yeah.
PR, then manager, that's a new challenge. And senior manager, that's another challenge. Then quitting, then that's the biggest challenge because now I gotta put food on the table if I want to actually get married and get a house and eventually be a dad. And then last summer, around July, August, September, October, my birthday, that survival mechanism, it was like a tiger was chasing me my whole life of you gotta survive this tiger, this challenge. But it felt like now, finally, I was making more money than I was making at the bank. I have a home now after moving many, many, many years. I think I moved 12 times since I've been in Toronto in 12 years. 12 times in 12 years. I have a wife. I have a son. And this is my home now.
Yeah.
And now I'm not running away. There was nothing to survive.
Yeah.
So my body broke down.
Yeah, I didn't know.
I didn't know. Everything's okay.
Yeah.
And it broke down. I was crying for no reason. I was it was just, I didn't know what was happening to me.
Yeah.
So I started going to therapy, and a lot of these things I started to understand about myself. You gotta dig deep. You gotta understand why these things are happening.
Yeah.
Because most of my life, it was I have to survive this.
Yeah.
I have to thrive.
Yeah.
And by myself in many ways. Obviously, I had the support of my dad, my mom, my stepmom, my sisters. But when I moved to Canada, it's on your own. In many ways, even if you're with your parents, you gotta adapt to the new school and the new team and the new kids. Every time you move schools, you move country. So my body was just used to grinding and surviving onto the next challenge. And when there was no more tiger, my body just
what to do now?
didn't know what to do.
Yeah. So walk us through that. Okay. So you call it the big jump because it was definitely a huge thing. But yeah, in what year did you decide to quit the job at Scotiabank? How do you realize that was the right move at the moment, or what took you there and to pursue what you do now, that is being a full-time comedian?
Yes. So in 2014, Juan and I do our first stand-up comedy show, open mic in Spanish.
And mind you met Juan at Scotiabank?
No, I actually helped him get him into Scotiabank. I got 20 of my friends into Scotiabank pretty much.
Oh, okay.
And I kind of helped Juan get his interview, and then he killed it, and then he went in. But the 2014, Diego and Hector, who have the best Latin party in Toronto called SWA, they organized this. It's actually the 10th anniversary in July of that party, and they organized a Spanish open mic called Latin Live, and we were good friends with Diego, so he knew that we did comedy. I was doing Vines at the time and videos on Instagram. And,
so you started doing comedy even before?
Yeah,
okay.
I started writing what I thought were funny tweets in 2010.
Okay,
and when Vine came around, 2012-13. I did a lot of Vines, got a lot of followers, went viral several times, and then I took those videos to Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah.
Got viral there other times as well. And around 2014, the first open mic. And we did horrible, but people laughed a couple times, and we were instantly addicted. We started doing shows for the growing Hispanic community, 2015, 16, and just more opportunities were coming from my sketch comedy videos on Vine and Instagram, and we were doing more shows here. We were opening for big comedians, and I did some sketch comedy videos for Jugo del Valle of Coca-Cola, and it wasn't getting overwhelming, but you could tell that it was growing, and we were excited. It's like I kind of always see it like I think it's Bill Gates and is it Bill Gates and Steve Wozniak or Steve Jobs and Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak in the garage where like they're just doing it for fun and they just love it.
Love it, yeah.
And you could tell something big is coming. And in 2016, Juan kept being like, dude, let's fucking quit our jobs. Let's quit. He was also a senior manager in brand and marketing.
Yeah.
I was a senior manager in wealth management. And he's like, let's quit our jobs, man, and do this. Let's just travel, do shows, fuck it. And I'm like, of course not, man. I'm not gonna... Look at all our parents have sacrificed for us to be here, and look at all our friends who have degrees in Latin America, and they're cleaning floors here, you know?
Yeah.
And I felt like it would be a disservice to our parents and all the immigrants. Like, we have an incredible job here, you know? We have an incredible situation.
Do you think about yourself there, though?
What do you mean?
When you're thinking about your parents, you're thinking about, I'm doing a disservice to them.
Yeah. I'm doing a disservice, but the force, I can't explain it. Just something inside.
Yeah.
It's like, what if I can do this? Because in Latin America, you don't dream about these things. Because a lot of, there's not a lot of role models that do comedy for a living and do have a good life financially. Or basketball or soccer at times, you know? So you don't dream about these things. But now when you're here, you're like, fuck, what if that could be me? So I spoke to my girlfriend, now wife, and I'm like, would you support me if I quit? And she was like, yeah, of course. And that was September 2016. And Juan was like, let's quit next month, bro. No, man. I'm like, I'll quit and you can quit if you want as well at the same time. April 5th. Because April 4 is when I can apply for my citizenship.
Oh.
So it was like kind of like a milestone date for me.
Okay.
It was like 6 to 8 months, 6 months after. And yeah, like 6-7 months. So we moved to a smaller place with my girlfriend, then wife. Stopped eating out, stopped Ubering, stopped drinking beers at bars, stopped traveling.
Yeah.
And it hurts because you don't realize it, but you hang out with people like you who have the same money as you or the same salary. So if you told me like, let's go for a beer or whatever, I could spend $60 and it's nothing back in the day.
Yeah.
And let's go to Dubai for a friend's wedding. Let's go to Las Vegas. Let's go.
Yeah.
No questions asked. So when that happens, all my friends are still doing that, but I can't anymore.
Yeah.
So it's lonely, but it's really important to, okay, you really want this? Let's see if you really want this.
Yeah.
So February rolls around. I tell my boss. I walk in. I'm like Sarah. I'm quitting. And she's like, what?
Yeah.
So you going to the competition? What bank? I'm like, no, I'm doing comedy. She's like, is this one of your jokes? I'm like, no, this is for real. And she was so happy for me. She was like,
wow.
Go do your thing. We'll be here. I gave them like 2 months notice because I wanted to leave like really, really the doors open. Everybody was like cheering for me.
That's awesome.
Everybody was like, save yourself while you can, you know, because a lot of people, my wife tells me this a lot of people don't know what they're passionate about. So I think it's so smart of you to have picked kinesiology or something that you love.
Absolutely.
Because you don't see yourself in a cubicle for the rest of your life.
No.
And it's not as bad as just a cubicle, because I'm grateful for the 7 years I was at Scotiabank. It was a great school. But
yeah,
my dad has a saying where todo cae por su propio peso. Everything falls into place at the right time.
Yeah.
So in many ways, I'm so grateful that I found Juan to jump together, because it's easier to fail together. You know?
Absolutely.
But
to have that company.
It's hard to run into crazy fucking people like you to want to do the same thing. Like, what are the odds?
Yeah.
That I would find a guy who wants to quit the bank and do comedy, you know? Yeah. And we're business partners to this day and best friends. So, February, give them the 2 month notice. April 4, apply to citizenship. April 5th, I quit like last day. April 6th, Juan and I go on a 3-week tour to Miami, Costa Rica, and Colombia.
Oh, wow.
And that was 5 years ago.
Dang. And then from there, it's just been uphill, downhill.
Oh, well, it's been a crazy roller coaster, but our jobs went from like $100,000 a year to $6,000 a year. Or $10,000. The thing is, we didn't know how much money we would make that first year, but we were so excited about the thrill of this life that it was, I mean, total transparency, I had $44,000 in savings at the time.
Yeah.
But it sucked to see your savings go down because you weren't making enough money to, and it, so it was, not a lot of people are built for it, you know? Because a lot of people value money or value comfort more than safety.
That's what I was going to say.
And nothing wrong, because, I mean, if you have 3 kids you got to feed, I understand, you got a mortgage. I didn't have a mortgage. I didn't have kids. I wasn't married at the time.
Yeah.
So those are the time to take risks. And the thing that really was a defining moment for me was I thought about it. I'm like, 2 things. If I have the chance, even if it's slim, to do what I love for the rest of my life, I have to fucking take it.
Yes.
And the second one was, yes, my dad and my family have sacrificed so much for me to be here, but really for me to follow my dreams.
And be happy.
Because if it would have been up to my dad and my mom, my dad would have been a veterinarian or a race car driver or an athlete. Yeah. But he had to not pursue these things because he became a dad at age 20.
Yeah.
So he had to, in many ways, sacrifice a lot of things so that we could actually chase our dreams.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, I'm only living one life, and the future was so predictable that maybe because of my upbringing and so many changes and I thrive on uncertainty. I don't want to know what happens tomorrow. Yeah. I love waking up wanting to wake up and not knowing what's going to happen. I love that thrill. Juan and I have discussed about having like set salaries, or maybe we could make a set amount and it would give us more stability because now the company is doing well. But we don't fucking want that.
Yeah.
Because we love the thrill of 1 month making nothing, the next making a lot because you went and hunted for it.
Yeah.
So, and then there's the next chapter, which is basically I thought comedy was going to make me happy.
Yeah.
But then you realize that nothing makes you happy. You have to fight for your internal happiness and your well-being every time. Because you're just going to find excuses. Oh, you think NBA players who love the NBA are not miserable? A lot of them are miserable.
Oh, yeah.
If you're not happy, if you're not responsible about your well-being and your happiness and your mental health. So that's when I started reading. When I quit, that's when my personal growth journey really started. Because a lot of people had tried to do comedy full-time, and on paper, they were more successful than me, had done more shows, were funnier, probably, 100%. I knew I wasn't the funniest, or the most experienced, or the one who had on paper the most chance of doing this full time. Yeah. So I had to copy the blueprint of Tony Robbins, of Tom Brady, of Oprah, of Obama, Michelle Obama, Barack Obama, it's all the same habits. So you can do it in basketball, you can do it in comedy, you can do it as a lawyer, you can do it as a banker. Musician, whatever. So it's all that consistency, that accountability, that integrity, sleeping well, eating well, meditation, journaling, reading, learning from other people. Success leaves clues, like Tony Robbins says. So I was like, failure is not an option for me. I can't go back to the bank. I just can't. Yeah. And if I do, it's okay, because that doesn't make me a failure either. But I didn't want to. So I started reading everything. Yeah. And 5 years later, obviously the plan was to just do comedy shows, but that ended up not being too successful because the first couple times all your friends come and see you, but after they're like, bro, you have any new 5 minutes? What's going on? So we started a public speaking comedy school, which was the real success, which actually fed us, put food on the table for the first couple years. And then in the pandemic, we rebranded into the Rethink, which is our corporate training and development company.
Yeah.
And that is what makes us a lot of money these days, where we help companies leverage laughter for better business results, business communication, and relationships. So we do improv for team building, speaking with confidence, the power of failure, humor at work, the efficiency myth, why productivity matters. So workshops and keynotes for companies and corporate comedy shows.
Yeah.
But I would have never guessed it.
Yes.
So if I wouldn't have taken a shot at being the best, the best comedian I can be, I would have never taught public speaking and comedy, which would have never led me to found Rethink, which is now what subsidizes what I really love.
Yes.
So I do that, and that pays for me just doing comedy for fun, and it's so much easier to be creative when you want to do it, not because you have to do it.
Ooh, that's
so that's the journey.
Wisdom right there. Oh my God, there's a lot to unpack there, but I really want to be mindful of your time as well. But the one thing you did mention is passion, and I do want to tap into that because what you did, I try to keep this clean, but it takes balls, bolas, tener like el coraje, the courage to really. That's what Walt Disney always says that, or he used to say, that, dreams can come true as long as you have the courage to pursue them. And not a lot of people have that. So how do you think you build that courage at that moment? Like you mentioned a lot, Juan was pushing you, and your girlfriend at the time, now wife, also said she supported you. But there still has to be your part in that. So how was it for you? Like, how would you say other people can find that? Like, other people that already know what they're passionate about, or others that might not love their job but still want to explore and find their passion, and they just feel they're not in the right spot. What piece of advice you would give them to have that courage to do what they feel their heart's calling them to, and find their passion? Yeah.
So first of all, quitting your job is not the only answer. You could do it part-time as a hobby like we did for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, you could argue that I was doing that for 7 years before that.
Yeah.
So as a hobby, and it took me to a point where now I was in a position, I was already making a little bit of money before I quit.
Yeah.
The second is that I thought to myself, a lot of my friends back home, they will want to do it, but it's hard to make money in Latin America, blah, 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 blah. But I'm in Canada, so what's my excuse?
Yes.
I'm like, what's the worst thing that can happen? Like the actual worst thing that can happen. Literally the worst case scenario if I quit my bank job and I want to do comedy for a year.
Yeah.
Well, I have savings, but let's say I didn't have savings. What's the worst thing that can happen? The worst thing that can happen is that I have to work at Starbucks.
Yeah.
That is fucking amazing.
The fact that
Starbucks is amazing.
Yeah.
How privileged and spoiled are we that we're coming up with bullshit excuses about not pursuing our dreams? Again, pursuing your dream doesn't mean quitting your job. But what's the worst thing that can happen if you do? So that was a big thing for me. Like, what's my excuse now?
Yeah.
Because we're so good at coming up with excuses.
Absolutely.
And then the third thing, which I think has been obviously my upbringing, my childhood, where I had to mature. I've had really good self-awareness, really good discipline my entire life. So I think the third thing is you got to know yourself. You got to do the work. You got to have that self-awareness. Self-awareness is the biggest gift you can give yourself. And you got to know, maybe you don't thrive on uncertainty. I do. I for sure do. I love it. I love it. I love not knowing what's going to happen. And knowing, another thing that I learned about myself is that I used to achieve to be happy. Now I happily achieve, like Tony Robbins says. So I have to find that balance because I'm always trying to achieve to be happy, but I got to find the joy in the everyday. And I just have this, I think all people, well, I picked something that I'm obsessed about, that I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
But you gotta have the other thing, the consistency, the discipline, the force of you being there. And really, I thought this whole time, like, these fucking people don't even know me. The people who may criticize me, or they think this is dumb or whatever, they think I'm a loser. By the way, those people who thought I was a loser when I quit the bank, now they're like, oh, bro, I knew him when he quit the bank. I've been his friend. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I used to work with them and everything. So you're a loser until you're not to these people. I don't even fucking care about whatever. I mean, nobody ever told me that they thought I was a loser, but a lot of people did disagree with my decision.
Yeah.
But what I think, it's kind of gonna sound a little arrogant or asshole-ish, but it's like, these fucking people haven't been there since day one anyways.
Yeah.
So fuck them. And it's my life. A lot of these people are trying to project their insecurities on me because it didn't work out for you. You think it's not going to work out for me.
Yeah.
So then that's fine, man. Go live your life, and I wish you the best. But I'm gonna chase what I think I'm capable of. Maybe I'm not capable of it right now, but I'm becoming that person.
Absolutely.
Like, I think we've talked about this, but a lot of people are like, bro, you became viral the other day. I'm like, yeah, I guess the video went viral.
Yeah.
I went viral. I've been viral many times before it, but now I'm more prepared for it, because I used to become miserable when I got viral 5-7 years ago, because I couldn't get it again, like immediately again. And that would mess up with me. Now I'm just like, the game plan is intact. Still a dad, still a husband, still doing Mal Pensando and Rethink. I'm still doing what I love. And the work, like the game plan is still the same. These people who may be thinking, oh, you suck, man, or at the beginning, like, you suck at comedy, which I sucked at comedy at the beginning. And it was hard doing something that you love and sucking at it. Because like, some people would come to the show and be like, oh, it's good that you're doing what you love.
Yeah.
You know?
That's when you know.
Yeah. But you keep coming back. You keep coming back. There's a quote that I'm going to butcher or whatever, but I think Winston Churchill said it, or somebody, where it's like, the man in the arena. And basically it's like, I'm going to say it in my own words, respect the man who's in the arena, taking punches, like falling down, getting back up. And I don't want to fucking hear any feedback or criticism from the people in the fucking stands, because if you're not here getting fucking punched and failing over and over again forward, I don't want to hear your fucking advice. Because you haven't done shit. And I'm here, like, grinding. And if I don't make it, or if I don't become whatever I want to become, or if I fail, in your terms, because to me failure is not trying.
Not trying, yeah.
So in your terms, it doesn't fucking matter, because I'm here. And you're just there comfortable on your fucking couch doing nothing. And, oh, man, it's so easy to criticize, like, on the couch, you know?
Yeah.
Just on the couch. Go there. And the worst and the crazy part is, the people who've actually achieved things and who are out there grinding, they're not criticizing you, because they know what it takes. They're actually, they respect you. Yeah. They respect you. So I'm happy that I'm an inspiration now to some people. Yeah. But I'm more I'm like, man, that Stephan Dyer from 2016, 17, I had fucking balls. Because if I knew what I had to go through, maybe I wouldn't have quit. Yeah. But I'm happy I didn't, and I stuck to my guns, and now I live a life that I love.
That's amazing. Yeah. That is awesome. I'm so happy to hear that, Stephan. There's definitely a lot to dig here. A lot, but I really hope that everybody that is listening right now benefits from all of those pieces of wisdom that you gave, because there's definitely a lot. And, well, I mean, you kind of mentioned that you thrive in uncertainty, but do you know what's next for you, like, at least for the rest of this year? Let's just keep it as a 2022. What's in your agenda?
A lot of these things that I'm doing now, I planned them. Okay. 3-4 years ago. Yeah. So in many ways, like my good friend Alejandro Ejea says, life by design. So I've planned a life, and I visualized a life where I have I do what I love every day.
Yeah.
I don't do things that I don't love. And I travel for comedy, and I travel to do keynote speeches, and I travel to do corporate training and development in the things that I love and know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's happening. I am, as you know, I've been to these places in the last 4 months for work and for pleasure.
Yeah.
And I'm going to travel to Costa Rica, to New York, to other countries to do comedy, to do training and development, to the States, and bringing my wife and my son along the way.
That's amazing.
Because my wife loves traveling, and I want them to be a part of the journey as well.
Yeah.
Because a life of achievement without fulfillment is a very sad life.
Ooh.
So I want them, because they make me enjoy it, you know? They make me,
They fulfill
they
you.
make me live the day to day. They make me be present, because it's very hard not to be present with a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
And if not, I'm just like game face mode all the time. What's next? More content, more posting, more writing, more shows, more this, and then 5 years go by and you didn't enjoy it. So it's really good to share these milestones with them, and I guess my ultimate goal would be to hire someone and delegate the school, the Malpensando public speaking through comedy courses that you've done, because in the pandemic we could only do it online, but before the pandemic we did it in person.
Yeah.
And the school has level 1, level 2, level 3 of these courses in Spanish and English, online and in person.
Okay.
But typically it's just Juan and me teaching.
Yeah.
So I would like to just that be a well-oiled, lean, mean, money-making machine. Where I teach one course, maybe a term, because I love it. But then we got other people teaching it. Other people teaching it, and somebody selling the courses, a place to teach. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of delegating, a lot of strategy, a lot of writing. But I think it's doable, and I've envisioned that too, and I will continue to achieve and continue to grow and continue to enjoy as I've done in the past. And sharing it with people that I love and admire, like my wife, my son, all the people who've been on the podcast, like yourself, and then sharing the knowledge that I've achieved and built over these years with those people who want to hear it through this podcast, through your podcast as well.
That's amazing, Stephan. Honestly, thank you so much for all of that. I love it. I'm really grateful to have the opportunity to have this. Now 6 months since my interview.
Yes.
And we were in other spots, and I haven't forgotten about your questions. So you had my champagne question.
Yes.
I have a couple for you to kind of wrap this up.
Let's see.
So this is rapid fire. There's 5 questions that I wrote that I want you to answer in a sentence or less. Okay? And it's the first thing that comes to your mind. Okay? As fast as you can. So, the first question is, what is the worst piece of advice that you have been given?
Worst piece of advice you have been given? Only winning counts.
Only winning counts. Oh, I like that. Okay. Number 2, biggest self-made obstacle to achieving a goal for you.
Biggest self-made obstacle to achieving a goal that I've created for myself? Self-made obstacle? That I need to do everything perfectly.
Perfection is huge.
Yeah.
We can do a whole other podcast about perfection alone. Because
also that I have to do everything every day. So I used to try to do like 1 minute of everything every day, but then I wanted to do like 10 habits every day.
Yeah.
And changing habit every day, or 5 minutes or 10 minutes every day per habit, like switching from one to the other, it's just very daunting. So there's nothing wrong with doing 3 hours of one thing 1 day a week, and you're still advancing, because you can't do everything every day.
Yeah. That's huge. Number 3, what is the best piece of advice that you have been given? Just that what's the best?
Well, the first one that comes to mind, although I don't know Tony Robbins, but he's my biggest mentor, I would say. And Naval too. Oof, yeah, Naval, my boy. So yeah, escape competition through authenticity, Naval.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to achieve to be happy, now I happily achieve.
I love
by
that.
Tony Robbins.
I really liked it. That just brought so much perspective when you mentioned it like a couple of minutes ago. It's a very good saying. Number 4, what is the thing that you're most scared of?
That I will make it to the end of my life thinking that I missed out on important moments with my family, with my extended family. Like, it sucks that I missed like a lot of moments with my mom, a lot of moments with my dad, with my sisters, my nieces, and I don't plan on missing anything with Liam.
With Liam, yeah, that's beautiful. Number 5, what is the funniest joke you have heard? As a comedian, I had to ask you that.
Funniest joke?
And shortest, probably.
Let me see. Well, of comedians, I can't remember any of them, but like people doing stuff. I just heard one the other day of a guy who went to Burger King and the guy in Spanish you say the burger with con todo, no, póngale de todo,
with
con todo.
everything, yeah.
But the guy said, can I have a Whopper with everyone? Can I have a Whopper with everyone?
Oh my gosh.
And the guy was like, what do you, with all of us? Like, what do you?
I've witnessed so many of those English, Spanish, Latinos moments.
Like with your family?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Do you remember any of those with your mom or dad?
Yeah. There's one, we went to Disneyland, and not Disneyland, sorry, Disney World. We were in Orlando, and we were waiting for a bus. Let's say I think it's bus 32 exactly, because I remember that the way, it wasn't actually my mom, but it was my mom's friend, but they speak English the same. So we were waiting, and then my brother approaches the guy, but then she's very outspoken. So the lady, like my mom's friend, is very outspoken. So my brother approaches the tour guy, whatever, and he was like, "Hey, excuse me, sir." And my mom's friend comes and said, "We are looking for bus 32." 32. She didn't realize, and then her son said 32. Sorry, excuse me. So sorry. Oh my gosh, we have had so many of those moments, and yeah, I think we were watching a movie the other day. Some things like that happen. It's just funny whenever it happens. It's so authentic. It's hilarious. And well, these are not really rapid fire, but this is actually the last question I do have for you. What is your definition of success?
Definition of success to me is being authentic.
Being authentic.
Being who you are along the way. I'm obsessed with winning in many ways, but that's why escape competition through authenticity is my favorite quote in the world, because I've done my fair share of faking it and being other people or copying other people's way to success, and I'm a master at adapting because I've had to adapt my entire life. I'm a chameleon. But then I realized through studying people who have accomplished great things that they do them not by mitigating their weaknesses, but by double downing on their strengths.
Yeah.
But you can't double down on your strengths if you don't know your strengths. So you got to do the work of self-awareness.
Yeah.
There's a lot of free tests online, like the Myers-Briggs, I always forget about this. The strength test of, I forgot, but 16 personalities, all these, the Enneagram as well. So you get to know yourself. Why are you like this? What are your best things?
Yeah.
Like my biggest strengths from the strength finder of the name I just forgot is communication, discipline, futuristic, positivity, and discipline, communication, futuristic, communicate. Well, I don't know. Then another one, and it doesn't surprise you that I'm really, really disciplined. I do communication.
Yeah.
I'm positive. I'm jolly. So why would I waste my life on doing tech? Or I'm not good with programming and all these things.
Yeah.
Like, so, or other things that require me to, I don't know, execute. I'm not that good with executing, but I'm good with consistency, discipline. So,
Yeah.
So by that, you get to know yourself, and then you can have a better life. Like you can have a happier life just by doing the things you're better at. So that's what I've done. Living your life authentically. And now I pursue things that are a reflection of me. Like I met you through your mom, through Not Working to Networking, which is an initiative that I invented of helping Latinos find jobs that I'm really good at.
Yeah.
The podcast is a reflection of me. Comedy is a reflection of me. Communication is something that I love. So that's what I do.
Absolutely. Well, Stephan, again, thank you so much for your time. It's an honor for me to be here and to have you here and to hear from you. I always take so much out of this. So I hope people also take a lot out of this. And lastly, how is any way that we can support you? So what are your socials, and what is any other way that you would like to share that we can support you through your journey?
At Stephan Dyer everywhere. And I think one of the things that I enjoy the most is people just listening to my podcast, to this episode, because I'm just giving away all the knowledge that I have in the world. I just gave away. I just recorded the Productivity Machine Workshop, part 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Of everything. I recorded the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I just got a message of like, oh my God, I'm doing these changes. I'm getting the grocery to, like, Walmart to bring me the groceries to my house as opposed to me going to the supermarket with my 3 kids. Now I freed up like 4 hours just because of that.
Yeah.
Now I can do yoga. I'm more rested. I'm actually delegating a lot of things in my job, which is going to allow me to grow.
Yeah.
And all, like, those things mean the world to me because I'm super passionate about them. And I'm like, fuck, if everybody knew what I knew, everybody would be so much better, you know? So, but because I love the things that I love, and I learn them and I share them.
Yeah.
But if you ask me about like programming or tech, I don't care about that.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But there's people who do, and they should be doubling down on those. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, now you know it's Stephan Dyer, at Stephan Dyer, in all platforms. Once again, thank you, Stephan, and we'll see you again, hopefully soon.
100%. Gracias. Un abrazo.
Muchas gracias. Bye-bye.
Gracias por escuchar el Stephan Dyer Podcast. Arrivederci, my people.